All right. Welcome, Kieran from World Child Cancer. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Very
Good.
nice to be here.
Yeah. I hope you're having a good day.
Always.
Yeah. So you're coming in today to tell us a little bit more about World Child Cancer and the great work that you
Yeah.
guys do. So how long have you been with the organization?
I've worked here for about 18 months or so now. So before, I'm the marketing and communications manager at World Child Cancer. Personally, I've had the same or similar roles for about 5 or 6 years now. But I actually took a year out to go and volunteer and travel abroad. And then when I came back with this wonderful new mindset that I want to do a job that actually made a difference. And World Child Cancer has really given me that to do that.
So what can you tell us about the work that you do? How many countries are you involved with now?
So World Child Cancer now works across 8 countries in Central America, Africa, Asia, and as far as the Philippines. And we also are part of a Wilms Tuber collaboration project. So that's sort of something that we own ourselves. That collaboration is from a wider group of medical research teams that focuses across several countries in Africa on Wilms tumor specifically. But we work in Mexico, Malawi, Cameroon, Ghana, Bangladesh, and the Philippines. And we're going to be newly starting a new program in Vietnam soon.
Wonderful.
Wow, that's a pretty wide array of countries.
Yeah, so what we do is all of the countries that we work in are all we consider, or the UN considers, developing countries. So they're the ones where they basically have a poorer income than, say, the UK or the US. And by that, they also have a poorer access to the healthcare that they need, specifically for childhood cancer. And the reason that we choose most, if not all of these countries, is that actually childhood cancer isn't even close to being on the national health scheme. So whereas in the UK, we can go to the NHS and they'll just treat you for your cancer. You may be able to get that for, say, breast cancer in Ghana, for example, but if your child has cancer, you have to pay for it. And so we need to do our utmost to give these kids this kind of voice and support that they need.
That's awesome.
And my understanding as well is that you help with to train medical personnel?
Yeah, so we do this through the development of twinning partnership between hospitals in developed countries like the UK, like the US, as far wide as Canada as well. And then we partner those with the hospitals in the countries in which we work. A good example is in Ghana, we work with 2 hospitals, one in Accra and one in Kumasi. And then the partner hospital is the Royal Hospital for Sick Children in Edinburgh, which is in Scotland. And we often have volunteer doctors, nurses, various healthcare professionals that would primarily give up their time, as in their holiday time, to take time away from their day job to go and visit the program where we work, to train and work with the healthcare professionals in Ghana in the 2 hospitals that we work. And this is very much a two-way partnerships where we don't go and tell people what to do, because that's not quite right, because everywhere is different, cultures are different, people are different, but it's just to share knowledge, expertise and advice. And the great thing about it is that more often than not, if not all the time, obviously these volunteers that go there, they can't stay there forever. So when they go back to Edinburgh in this example, they still continue these conversations, be it over email, over Skype, over WhatsApp, and they'd go back regularly year after year. So developing this partnership and then ideally allowing those healthcare professionals that we support the training of to go and train other peers beyond the hospitals that we work with. So obviously we've only got so much capacity, but there's so many children that need support. Over 300,000 children will actually get cancer every year across the world, and these are new cases of cancer, not just 300,000 existing. There's another 300,000 every year, and that are developing in it. So these partnerships are really to bring a better quality of care closer to home for them.
How are the children selected for the program to receive treatment, and what do they go through once they are accepted into your scheme?
Yeah, so it's not quite a selection process.
Okay.
A lot of things, what we have to do really, it's obviously a hospital, so you can go to any hospital you wish to. Obviously, these aren't private hospitals; these will be public hospitals, open to anyone. But the issue we have is getting the children to the hospital in the first place. First and foremost, they won't know what cancer is, or their parents won't know what cancer is. The second problem is they'll go to a local doctor, a local healthcare worker, or a kind of religious specialist or herbal treatment, and they'll say you have malaria, you have to take this medicine, you have to take that medicine, without diagnosing it as cancer. So these kids are essentially dying without even knowing what they're dying of. And so the awareness raising aspect is really, really important. And then once they realise, oh, we've got cancer, and then they're saying you can be referred to this hospital. That hospital happens to be 4, 5, 6 hours away. It's not like driving down the motorway in the countries where we work. It's very, very difficult to get there. And then the family has to think, okay, I need to get there, but I don't have the money to get there. So they have to divide it up between, I need to pay for my family, the accommodation that they're living in, I need to pay for food. How do I save up enough money? So in childhood cancer, we recently had a campaign in September, which is a very, very clear message that if it's detected early enough, childhood cancer can be cured. And it can. The problem is that these children, even when they're told they have cancer, or their parents are and they're diagnosed with it, they have to wait sometimes weeks, it goes as far as months, to save enough money to travel to get there in the first place. So that is kind of, if you call it a selection process, it's not really the right terms, but it's more of that's the problem. How do we get them to the hospital in the first place? And then once we're there, they'll confirm their diagnosis. So we know that we have worked with these healthcare professionals and they have the expertise to deliver the treatment and care. So they will confirm that diagnosis and then follow up with the relevant treatments. Obviously, it'll be different for children depending on their age, their gender, their type of cancer. So no one case is ever the same.
So there are a lot of different costs you guys help alleviate, like transportation and stuff, not just directly medical.
Yes, there are. So the transport costs are often given once they get to hospital. We will reimburse them because although it's not our place to say where people should spend their money, our sole focus is to make sure that these children get the treatment that they need. So imagine you're in a desperately needed situation and you have no money for food, and we transfer this family X amount of money to travel to hospital. There is potential that some people may think, well, it's better spent elsewhere. And that's not to say that that's not the right thing to do, but our purpose is to help get these children to treatment. And also, in that sense, we'll also cover the essential treatment costs if families can't afford it. But it's important that we not only get these kids to hospital to receive their treatment, but that they maintain it and that they finish their treatment cycles. I recently went to a program visit, and one of the most frustrating factors that I was told from the doctors over there was that these kids would come to hospital, they'll start to feel better, they'll start to look better, which is the important part. And then the families would think, right, well, my child's better, it's costing me so much money, we need to get home, we need to get done. But then that cancer will then come back and then all the work that was done before is lost. So there's a lot of factors to consider.
Yeah. So you work on with reimbursing families for their costs. Or have you been able to meet any of the children who've gone through treatment since you did a trip out? How do they deal with it? I mean, because it's such a thing.
Yeah. In late September, I went to Ghana. It was in Accra at the Porterview Teaching Hospital, which is in the capital of Ghana. So it's one of the bigger hospitals that we partner with. And I went there with preconceptions of I'm going to be sad, I want to see things I don't want to see, it's going to make me cry. I walked into the ward, and the first thing I saw was a small table, a children's table with little chairs dotted around, and there was just kids colouring. And there was a play worker there. The play worker was called Marie. There's a case study or a story on our website with play worker Marie now, and her job as a play worker was to let these kids play. Right. To make sure they keep this creative edge to them. And kids just want to be kids at the end of the day. When they are receiving treatment, when you go up to the ward, there was a ward on the 3rd floor where they deliver the treatment. Those kids are obviously very poorly. They won't have the energy, they won't have the appetite to play. But once they go past that stage and they start to feel better, they're not worried about having cancer, and they're just worried about being kids at the end of the day. There was a long debate. They had one small TV in the hospital downstairs, and there was a long debate between whether they watched the real Spider-Man DVD or the cartoon Spider-Man DVD. And that was just like, it just brought it home to me straight away that this, you can call it a hospital, but you can go into a school and you'll see the same conversation. You go into a family home and you'll see the same conversations. That children are children, really, and that's why all deserve the help, really. You can't just pick and choose that. Essentially, the problem is now, if I have a child now and I'm born in the UK and my child develops cancer, obviously, hopefully, pray to God that doesn't happen. But if it does, I have a hospital that I can travel to within half an hour, 45 minutes, and they'll be treated there.
Right.
If I was a Ghanaian, for example, in this one, and I was born in North Ghana, I'll have a trip of about a day or so, and then even longer to save up the money to even achieve any sort of treatment.
Yeah.
What are the different ways that people can get involved to help World Child Cancer?
There's so many different ways, basically. We have obviously different events going on. We have, for example, Christmas is coming up, and we have a Spirit of Christmas event. And this is a celebration of things that we've achieved for the year. It's based in London because our office is based in London, so we understand that not everyone can come to that. But that's obviously like a physical event that people come to. Mm-hmm. We've got various fundraising events from marathons. These can be international as well, to bake sales, to dress down days at work. It doesn't have to be just a personal aspect. Obviously, you can get your friends and families involved, but quite often you can go to your place of work and say, we can do something as a collective here to make a positive difference. So whether that be, on the 1st of May, we're all going to walk to work instead of taking the car. And not only will that help the environment, it will actually raise money for these kids as well. So it's kind of a twofold win there. Mm-hmm. If you don't work and you're of the younger generation, for example, we have remote interns. So we have interns with various universities across the UK, and I believe there are some in America as well. I couldn't say who they are off the top of my head at the moment. But we will have students that deliver talks and conduct these fundraising events just to raise a bit awareness of World Child Cancer. And that's kind of like a win-win there, because it shows their ability to put something on their CV whilst they're studying, to say, hey, I've put this together, this event, and I've also raised this much awareness for this charity. And that kind of builds that relationship there. Mm. And there's also the standard digital things like following us on social media and sharing our content when we have campaigns on, sign up to our newsletter, and just generally, really, I think the best thing that people can do is just talk about it. I mean, everyone can be impacted by cancer, right, or anyone can be. So just to make sure that people are aware of what is happening and to making sure that we're all kind of working together on this. We can't do it alone. No one can really do anything alone. So
absolutely.
Can you talk about the trends of charities and nonprofits turning to the gaming community with streamers to help promote your causes?
This is quite a new avenue for us as a charity. We've not worked with streamers in the past. We did have a one-off streaming event with someone called God Tier Gaming just a couple of months ago, and they raised quite a nice sum of money for us. Of course, any fundraising is always enormously valuable to what we do, because such a small amount goes a long way. But as we move into, we're way into the 21st century now, but as we move forward, we've got to look at new ways to engage younger audiences. So these remote internships that we talk about, we do offer internships in the office, of course, but also these are people, students often, or young people who are busy with their lives, and whether it's a full-time streamer or whether they're part-time streamers, these are ways that they can do something to enhance their own profile, but also enhance the profile of World Child Cancer and hopefully raise some funds for us as well. So it's kind of finding new innovative ways to engage people. The old kind of view of someone standing at a train station with a bucket in their hand asking for a change, it's falling, basically. It's more and more difficult to do that, and we need to build relationships with people, and this is really what we're trying to do. If people do donate to us, for example, quite often we'll try our best, depending on capacity, to deliver a handwritten thank you card to someone as opposed to an email, because we really want to build that relationship, say that we really do appreciate everything that anyone does for us.
That's just that little bit more of a personal touch.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. I'm really happy that we've been able to partner with you this year through the annual.
Yes.
I hope that all of the money that we're able to raise for World Child Cancer goes to help these wonderful children that just deserve a chance to live out their childhoods and grow into wonderful adults.
Yeah, but honestly, thank you so much. It was so grateful to see how much you're doing to support us. And we know a lot of you guys are volunteers as well, and it's incredible to have your support. And I'm saying that personally, but for the kids, I can speak on their behalf as well. It's invaluable.
It's a great event to be a part of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really exciting for us as well. Like I said, it's the first kind of gaming partnership that we've had with you guys. So it's brilliant, really, really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting.
It is. We're pretty excited as well and happy to be helping out.
For sure.
All right. Thank you, Kieran, very much for joining us today.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Okay.
Yep, thanks.
Take care.
Cheers.